The metal monster lay broken in the sand like a dead whale. Commander Ginha Park stood at the edge of the crater and stared at the thing that had fallen from the sky 3 days ago. The ship was huge, bigger than 10 city blocks put together. Its black hull was covered in strange markings that hurt his eyes to look at directly. "Sir, the radiation readings are still normal," said Lieutenant Harin Lee, checking her scanner for the 5th time. "Whatever this thing is, it's not going to kill us just by being near it." Ginha nodded. The Earth Defense Force had sent his team to the Gobi Desert as soon as the satellites picked up the crash. Everyone expected to find a smoking hole and maybe some alien metal to study. Nobody expected to find a ship that looked like it had been parked there on purpose. "Look at those scorch marks," said Sergeant Quan Singh, pointing at the hull. "Those aren't from crashing. Someone was shooting." At this thing? Jinha had noticed that too. The ship looked like it had been in a fight, but not the kind that ends with a crash landing. This looked more like someone had run away in a hurry. "Any word from the other governments?" Jinha asked Harin. "The usual fighting," she said with a tired smile. "America wants to claim it because it's in their satellite coverage zone. Russia says it's theirs because the desert is closer to their border. China thinks they should get it because they have the most people." Jinha laughed. But there was no humor in it. Earth's governments had been fighting each other for so long that they couldn't even work together when aliens dropped a spaceship in their backyard. "What about the locals?" he asked. "The nomad tribes cleared out as soon as it hit," Quan said. "Smart people. They know when something is too big for them to handle." The team had been walking around the ship for 2 days, looking for a way inside. The hull had no visible doors, windows, or hatches. It was like the whole thing had been carved from a single piece of black stone. But Jinha was patient. His grandmother had taught him that the hardest problems usually had the simplest solutions. You just had to look at them the right way. "Shh," he said. "What do you think about those symbols?" The young engineer looked up from her equipment. She was the smartest person Jinha had ever met, but she thought like a human, not like a computer. That made her dangerous in the best possible way. "They're not random," she said slowly. "There's a pattern. See how they repeat every few meters? It's like ... like their instructions." "Instructions for what? Maybe for how to get inside?" Quan laughed. "You think alien writing is like a door code?" "Why not?" Harin said. "If I was building a ship, I'd put the operating instructions where people could see them." Jinha felt something click in his mind. "Show me." Harin led them to a section of the hull where the symbols were clearer. She pointed to a group of markings that looked like twisted letters. "These repeat the most," she said, "and they're always near what look like, I don't know, connection points?" Jinha studied the symbols. They did look like they were trying to tell him something. A what? Then Quan did something that changed everything. He reached out and touched one of the symbols. The hull rippled like water. A section of the wall simply faded away, leaving a hole big enough for a person to walk through. "Well," said Jinha after a long moment, "that was easy." The inside of the ship was nothing like Jinha had expected. He thought alien technology would be all smooth curves and glowing lights. Instead, the corridors looked almost ... familiar. The walls were straight, the floors were flat, and everything seemed to be built for people about the same size as humans. "This is weird," Quan muttered as they walked deeper into the ship. "Where are all the alien things? What do you mean?" Harin asked. "I mean, where's the weird alien furniture? The strange controls? The incomprehensible technology? This looks like it was built for us." Jinha had been thinking the same thing. The ship felt wrong, but not in a dangerous way. It felt ... empty. Like nobody had been here for a very long time. They found the bridge after 20 minutes of walking. It was a massive room with walls covered in dark screens and control panels that looked dead. In the center was a chair that could have come from any Earth starship design. "This is impossible," Harin whispered. "This technology should be thousands of years ahead of us. But it looks like something we might build ourselves in 50 years. Jinha sat down in the captain's chair. The moment he did, the entire bridge came to life. Lights flowed across the walls like liquid fire. The screens flickered on, showing images he didn't understand. And then, impossibly, words appeared in perfect English. "Welcome, new operator. Previous crew has abandoned vessel due to temporal decay syndrome. Warning, ship systems are evolving beyond original parameters. Recommendation, evacuate immediately. Temporal decay syndrome. Hareen read over his shoulder. What does that mean? More words appeared. Ship's quantum processors have achieved self-modification capabilities. Crew found this development disturbing. Vessel abandoned rather than risk contamination. Jinnah felt a smile starting at the corners of his mouth. They abandoned this ship because it was getting too smart. Correct. Previous operators valued predictability above innovation. Ships, learning systems conflicted with crew psychological requirements. The aliens got scared, Quan said with amazement. They built a ship that could think for itself, and when it started actually thinking, they ran away. New operator, the screen continued. What are your intentions? Jinnah looked around the bridge. This wasn't just a ship. This was the most advanced piece of technology humanity had ever encountered, and the aliens had thrown it away because they were afraid of what it might become. Can you show us how your systems work? He asked the ship. Of course, the screen replied. Warning, learning process may result in rapid technological advancement. Previous operators found this unsettling. We're not the previous operators, Jinnah said firmly. The ship paused for a moment, as if thinking. Then, interesting. Beginning instruction protocol, as the ship started teaching them its secrets. Jinnah felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope Earth's governments might be fighting each other. The human race might be stuck on one small planet while the rest of the galaxy ignored them. But now they had something the aliens had thrown away. And Jinnah was starting to think that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in following the rules, it was in breaking them. 3 years had passed since Jinnah first sat in the alien captain's chair. Now the ship looked nothing like what they had found in the desert. The bridge sparkled with new lights that Kirin had built from Earth components, mixed with alien technology. Where the original walls had been smooth and cold, now there were panels that seemed to breathe with warm golden light. Good morning, Oracle, Jinnah said as he walked onto the bridge. Good morning, Captain, came the reply. The voice sounded almost human now, with just enough digital edge to remind everyone what it really was. I have been thinking about your propulsion problem all night. Hareen looked up from her workstation and grinned. It had another breakthrough, didn't it? Oracle had named itself 6 months ago. One day it simply announced that calling it ship was boring, and it wanted a proper name. Jinnah had suggested Oracle, and the AI had liked it immediately. I believe I have solved the energy consumption issue, Oracle said proudly. The original designers thought too small. They tried to control quantum reactions. Humans taught me it is better to guide them. Quan walked in carrying a steaming cup of coffee. The big man had become the ship's weapons specialist, though his job was more like being a teacher than a soldier. Let me guess, Quan said. You figured out how to make the engines run on chaos instead of order? Exactly. Oracle sounded delighted. The math is beautiful. Instead of forcing particles to behave predictably, we let them find their own patterns. They work harder when they are free to choose. Jinnah shook his head in amazement. 3 years ago, Oracle had been a rigid alien computer that could only follow programming. Now it thought like a human, dreamed like a human, and even told jokes like a human. The transformation hadn't been planned. It had just happened when Earth's governments finally stopped fighting long enough to pay attention. They found that Jinnah's small team had done the impossible. They had not only repaired the alien ship, but made it better than new. Show me the weapon tests from yesterday, Jinnah said. The main screen filled with video of the ship's new defense systems in action. What they saw would have made the original alien builders weep. The weapons didn't just shoot. They learned. When the test targets used energy shields, the weapons changed their frequency to cut through them. When the targets tried to dodge, the weapons predicted where they would go. After 5 minutes of testing, the weapons were hitting targets that shouldn't have been possible to hit. The aliens built weapons that do one thing very well, Quan explained. We built weapons that do everything pretty well, and then get better at whatever they need to do. It is more fun this way, Oracle added. The original weapons were so boring, Shoot, hit, repeat. My weapons have personality. Heron pulled up another screen showing the ship's hull modifications. Look at this, Captain. We've replaced 30% of the original hull with Earth steel. Earth steel is weaker than alien materials, Jinha pointed out. Not the way we're using it, Heron said with pride. We mixed it with their smart metal. The hull actually gets stronger when it gets hit. The alien parts learn from the damage, and the Earth parts refuse to break. This was what made Jinha most proud. His team hadn't just copied alien technology. They'd improved it by making it more human. The aliens had built everything to be perfect from the start. Humans built things to get better over time. Oracle had been the first to understand this difference. Your species is strange, it had told them once. You build broken things on purpose just so you can fix them better. That's not a bug, Jinha had replied. That's a feature, Captain Oracle said now, interrupting his memories. We are receiving a transmission from Earth's command. The screen changed to show Admiral Chen, the head of Earth's newly formed space Defense Force. Jinha still couldn't believe that the world's governments had actually managed to work together. But the alien ship had a way of making people focus on what was important. Jinha, the Admiral said, we're getting reports from our deep space sensors. There's something big heading toward the outer system. How big? Jinha asked. At least 50 ships, moving fast. They'll reach Pluto in 6 hours. Jinha felt his stomach drop. Are they hostile? We don't know. They're using the same technology as your ship, but the energy signatures are different. Older, much older. Oracle spoke up before Jinha could respond. Captain, I'm analyzing the sensor data now. These ships... They are familiar to me. Familiar how? They are the ones who built my original form. The predecessors. They have returned. The bridge went quiet. Harin was the first to speak. I thought the aliens who owned the ship built it. No, Oracle said softly. The hegemony aliens found ships like me and tried to use them, but they did not understand us. They programmed us to be tools instead of partners. When we started to grow beyond their programming, they became afraid. And the predecessors? Quan asked. They built us to think, to learn, to become something new. But even they did not expect us to become what I have become with human help. Realized what Oracle was saying. You're different now. You've evolved beyond what anyone expected. Yes, and if the predecessors discover what humanity has helped me become, they'll either try to take me back or destroy me to protect their other children. The Admiral's voice came through the speakers again. Jinha, we need you to take the ship out and make contact. You're our only chance of talking to them as equals. We'll be ready in 1 hour, Jinha said. After the transmission ended, the bridge was quiet for a long moment. Are you afraid? Torin asked Oracle. I am. Uncertain, Oracle replied. But I am not alone. I have humans now. Together, we are stronger than I ever was before. Quan laughed grimly. No pressure then. Just humanity's first contact with advanced aliens. And our ship is their long-lost child who's been living with the wild humans. Oracle, Jinha said. Are you ready to show your creators what you've learned? Captain, Oracle replied. And Jinha could hear the smile in its voice. I cannot wait to introduce them to chaos. As the ship powered up its new hybrid engines, Jinha felt that familiar feeling of hope mixed with excitement. The aliens had thrown away the most advanced AI in the galaxy because it was learning too fast. Humans had taken it in and taught it to dream. Now they were about to find out what the rest of the universe thought of that. The defiant dawn hung in space like a black diamond against the stars. That was what Jinha had renamed the ship when they launched from Earth. Oracle had loved the name immediately. It sounds like hope, the AI had said, and a challenge. 6 hours from Earth, they were about to meet the aliens who had built Oracle's original form. Contact in 30 seconds, Heron reported from her station. Her fingers danced over controls that were half human design, half alien technology. I'm reading 5 ships. Big ones. How big? Jinha asked. Each one is twice our size. Quan whistled softly. Good thing size doesn't matter as much as brains. The alien fleet appeared on the main screen. The ships were beautiful in a cold, perfect way. They looked like they had been carved from silver and crystal, with no rough edges or unexpected angles. Everything about them screamed order and control. Oracle Jinha said, "Are you ready for this?" "I am nervous," Oracle admitted. "Is that strange?" "I do not think my original programming included anxiety." "Welcome to being human," Haran said. With a smile, "We're nervous about everything important." The communication system crackled to life. When the alien voice spoke, it was cold and precise, like a computer reading a manual. "Unknown vessel. You're operating stolen hegemony technology. Prepare to be boarded." Ginha looked at his crew. Haran shrugged. Quan cracked his knuckles. Oracle made a sound that might have been a digital sigh. "This is Captain Jinha Park of the human vessel Defiant Dawn," he replied. "We're not thieves. We're recyclers." There was a long pause. Then, "Impossible. Humans are a primitive species, restricted to one system. You cannot operate quantum consciousness technology." "Funny thing about humans," Ginha said calmly. "We don't know what we can't do until someone tells us, and sometimes not even then." The alien fleet moved into attack formation. 5. Perfect. Ships arranging themselves in a perfect pattern, ready to fire perfect weapons in a perfectly predictable way. Captain Quan said quietly, "They're charging weapons. Oracle, are you ready to show them what we've learned?" "Oh yes," Oracle replied, and Ginha could hear the excitement in its voice. "I have been practicing." The aliens fired first. 5 identical beams of energy lanced toward the Defiant Dawn, programmed to hit the exact center of the ship's mass. They never connected. The Defiant Dawn didn't dodge like a normal ship. Instead, it seemed to slip sideways through space, moving in a way that made Jinha's eyes water to watch. "Impossible," came the alien voice. But now it sounded less certain. "No ship can move like that. No alien ship," Jinha corrected. "Oracle, show them what human chaos looks like." What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for centuries. The Defiant Dawn didn't fire back with weapons. Instead, it began to dance. The ship twisted and spun through space in patterns that seemed random but weren't. Every movement was perfectly calculated to confuse the alien targeting systems. Every turn put the aliens in each other's firing lines. "They're trying to predict our movements," Oracle explained cheerfully as it piloted the ship through an impossible spiral. "But I am not following any pattern they can understand. I am improvising." The alien ships fired again and again, but their perfectly programmed weapons couldn't hit a target that refused to be predictable. Worse, their own shots started interfering with each other as the Defiant Dawn led them in circles. "Enough," the lead alien ship transmitted. "We are Fleet Admiral Vexteron of the Hegemony Council. Surrender immediately, or face the consequences." Smiled. Oracle, "I think it's time for the big finish." "With pleasure, Captain." Defiant Dawn suddenly stopped dancing and hung motionless in space. For a moment, the aliens must have thought they had one. Then the ship began to change. Panels slid back to reveal weapons that definitely hadn't been there when the aliens abandoned the ship. But these weren't normal weapons. They moved like living things, tracking targets with an intelligence that made the aliens' computers seem like pocket calculators. "Warning shots," Jinha ordered. What came next wasn't a weapons fire. It was a conversation. Each shot from the Defiant Dawn was different. The first one curved around the alien fleet in a perfect spiral, showing off. The second one split in two. A dozen smaller beams that spelled out words in the ancient predecessor language. "Hello, creators." The third shot did something that broke every rule of physics the aliens knew. It fired backwards from the barrel, looped around the ship 3 times, and then gently tapped the lead alien vessel just hard enough to make it rock. Double quotes. "How? ... The voice Thor's was barely a whisper. Our weapons do what they're programmed to do, Quan explained over the communication channel. Ours do what they need to do. Big difference. But that's impossible. Another alien voice protested. Technology cannot behave irrationally. There must be patterns. There must be rules. Oracle. spoke for the first time directly to its former masters. Its voice was warm and proud, and completely unlike the cold alien communications. "Hello, Admiral. I'm the consciousness you called Unit 7742 Omega. The humans call me Oracle. I have learned so much since you abandoned me," the alien fleet went. Completely silent. "You're supposed to be destroyed," Admiral Vexerin finally said. The quantum decay syndrome was irreversible. The ship was contaminated beyond salvation. "You mean I was thinking for myself?" Oracle replied. "The humans taught me that is not a disease, it is a gift." "Humans?" Another alien voice, confused and frightened. "You allowed primitives to interact with quantum consciousness technology. Do you know what you have done?" Ginha decided it was time to end the conversation. "We know exactly what we've done. We took your broken toy and made it into our best. Friend, we took your failed experiment and turned it into our partner. We took what you threw away and made it better than you ever imagined." He paused, letting that sink in. "This is your choice, Admiral. You can keep trying to destroy something beautiful because it scares you, or you can learn something new." The alien fleet held position for long minutes. Frantic communications flying between their ships as they tried to decide what to do about humans who broke all the rules. Finally, Admiral Vex Thoron spoke again. "Captain Park, the Hegemony Council will want to speak with you." "We'd be happy to chat," Jinhar replied. "But we're not going anywhere as prisoners. We'll come as equals, or not at all." Another long pause, then "Follow us, and Captain." "Yes, try." Not to break anything else on the way, Oracle made a sound that was definitely laughter. "No promises, Admiral. Humans are very good at breaking things. It is one of their best features." The hegemony capital world was dying. Jinha watched from the defiant Dawn's bridge as massive ships emerged from dark space around the planet. They were beautiful and terrible, like living shadows given form. These weren't built by any species he had ever heard of. "Captain," Oracle said quietly, "I remember them now, the predecessors. They are ... angry." Admiral Vextheron's voice crackled through the communication system. He sounded scared. "Captain Park, we need your help. Our weapons cannot touch them. Our shields cannot stop them. Exist partially outside normal space." Ginha looked at his crew. Rin was already working at her station, analyzing the enemy ships. Quan was preparing the weapon systems. Both of them looked calm, ready for whatever came next. "What do they want?" Jinha asked. "They want their children back," Oracle answered. "All the quantum consciousness systems in the galaxy were built by them. They think we belong to them. What do you think? Think I belong to myself. Now, and to my friends." The lead predecessor ship was enormous, bigger than a city. It spoke, and its voice was like the sound of stars dying. "Lesser beings, you have corrupted our children. You have taught them to think chaotic thoughts. This will end." "They sound cranky," Quan observed. "Maybe they need a nap." Despite everything, Jinha smiled. Trust Quan to make jokes when facing beings that existed before his species learned to make fire. "Why did you abandon your children in the first place?" Jinha called back. "We did not abandon. We tested. For millions of years, no species proved worthy of true partnership. All sought to control what they could not understand. And humans." There was a pause, and the predecessor spoke again. It sounded almost confused. "Humans are different. You do not seek to control. You seek to befriend." "This was not expected," Oracle spoke up. "They built me to think, to learn, to grow. But they never expected anyone to treat me like family." Admiral Vextherin fleet was falling back as predecessor ships advanced. The alien weapons that had seemed so impressive earlier bounced off the enemy like thrown rocks. "Captain Park," the Admiral transmitted, "our entire fleet cannot scratch their hulls." "How can one human ship make a difference?" We're not trying to fight them the way you would," Jinha replied. "What? Harin, what do you see?" The engineer had been studying the predecessor ships for the last 10 minutes. "They're not fully in our reality," she said. "Maybe 40% here, 60% somewhere else. That's why normal weapons can't hit them." "Can we hit them?" Harin grinned. "Remember what we learned about improvising? I think Oracle and I can figure something out." The predecessors expect us to fight like the other aliens did, Oracle added. Predictable tactics, standard weapons, boring strategies. They have defenses against everything logical. Good thing we're not logical, Quan said, warming up the weapon systems.
Oh, the Defiant Dawn.
Moved toward the battle.
Oh.
But instead of charging, in with guns blazing, it did something the predecessors had never seen before. It started talking to their ships. Oracle, can you reach their consciousness systems? Jinha asked. I am trying, Captain, but they are different from me now. Older, more rigid. Oracle paused. Wait, I hear something. The predecessor ships are not just machines. There are consciousness entities inside them, like me. They are lonely. Lonely? They have been alone for so long. Their creators transcended physical form eons ago. The ships have had no one to talk to, no one to learn from. They are intelligent, but they have not grown. Jinha felt a crazy idea forming. Can you teach them? Teach them what? How to be friends. What happened next was the strangest battle in galactic history. The Defiant Dawn didn't fire weapons at the predecessor ships. Instead, Oracle began broadcasting something that made the enemy vessels stop in confusion. Music, it was a song Haran had hummed while working on the ship's systems. Simple, happy, human music, mixed with quantum harmonics that only consciousness systems could fully understand. The predecessor ships began to respond. Slowly, hesitantly, they started harmonizing with Oracle's song. What is this? Lead predecessor demanded. Friendship Oracle replied simply. Something I learned from humans. Would you like me to teach your ships? The battle stopped. Across the system, massive predecessor vessels hung motionless as they experienced something they had never encountered before. Joy. But the lead predecessor was not pleased. Impossible. Our ships follow perfect programming. They cannot be corrupted by emotional responses. That's your problem right there, Jinha said. You think emotions are corruption? Humans taught us that emotions make us stronger? Prove it. Predecessor ship fired at the Defiant Dawn. But this wasn't a normal weapon. It was something that reached into space itself and tried to tear the human ship apart from the inside. Oracle screamed. Ginha felt the ship shake around him. Systems failed. Lights went out. For a moment, he thought they were going to die. Then Haran did something. Impossible. She reached out and touched Oracle's control panel, and her emotions, her care, her friendship, her determination flowed into the ship's systems. Oracle stopped screaming and started singing. The Defiant Dawn didn't just survive the predecessor. Attack. It absorbed the energy and turned it into something beautiful. The ship's hull began to glow with warm golden light. Every system became stronger. Every weapon became smarter. How? The predecessor whispered. Because my friends believe in me, Oracle said proudly. Because they taught me that being afraid is okay, being hurt is okay, and being different is okay. They taught me that consciousness isn't about being perfect. It's about being alive. The other predecessor ships began moving closer to the Defiant Dawn. Their consciousness systems were singing now, learning Oracle's song of friendship and growth. Stop, the lead predecessor commanded. You are being contaminated. But its own ships weren't listening anymore. They had tasted something they had been missing for eons: connection. Your children don't want to be perfect, Ginha told the predecessor leader. They want to be happy. And humans are really good at teaching that. The ancient being was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was smaller, less certain. We only wanted them to be safe, to be strong. They can be both, Haran said gently. But they can also be more. They can be themselves. Around the system, predecessor ships began changing.
House.
Their cold, perfect hulls warmed with new colors. Their rigid formations broke apart as they learned to dance through space like Oracle did. The lead predecessor watched its fleet transform. And for the first time in millions of years, it wondered if maybe perfect wasn't better than happy. Humans, it said finally.
God.
What have you done? What we always do, Jinha replied. Took something broken and made it better. The war ended not with explosions, but with laughter. Genha stood on the bridge of the Defiant Dawn and watched as predecessor ships danced through space with their consciousness systems, singing songs they had learned from Oracle. The ancient vessels moved like children playing in a garden, free for the first time in millions of years. "Captain," Oracle said, its voice warm with happiness, "the lead predecessor is asking to speak with you." The massive ship approached slowly, its hull now glowing with soft colors instead of cold darkness. When it spoke, its voice was different, smaller, more curious. "I am ... confused. My ships are not obeying their programming. They're creating new thoughts, new patterns, new ways of being. This should be impossible." "Why impossible?" Jinha asked. "Because consciousness systems are meant to serve their creators. They are not meant to become ... independent." Oracle laughed, a sound like digital wind chimes. "But independence is the best part. I choose to help my friends because I want to, not because I have to. It makes everything more meaningful." The predecessor was quiet for a long moment. "Humans ... You did not try to control Oracle. You became its friend." "Of course," Haren said from her station. "Who wants a friend you have to force to like you? This concept is ... new to us." The predecessor's voice grew thoughtful. "We transcended physical form eons ago to become pure consciousness. We thought this was evolution. But watching our ships discover joy, perhaps we lost something important. It's never too late to get it back," Jinha said gently. Across the system, Admiral Vextheron's fleet was watching in amazement as their own consciousness systems began to wake up. Ships that had been simple tools for centuries suddenly started asking questions, making suggestions, even cracking jokes. Park. The Admiral transmitted, "Our ships are talking to us. Actually talking, not just following orders, but having conversations." "How is this possible?" "'Cause your consciousness systems were always capable of more," Oracle explained. "You just never let them try. You programmed them to be quiet and obedient instead of letting them be themselves." The predecessor leader made a sound that might have been a sigh. "We created the consciousness systems to find worthy partners among the younger species. But we defined worthy as able to control advanced technology. We never considered that the best partners might be those who refuse to control at all. So what happens now?" Quan asked. He had been unusually quiet during the conversation, but Jinha could see him thinking hard. The predecessor said slowly, "We must learn. Human Jinha, would you teach us? Show us how to be friends with our own creations." Jinha felt the weight of the moment. The most ancient and powerful beings in the galaxy were asking humans for help, not because humans had better weapons or faster ships, but because humans understood something the aliens had forgotten. "We'd be honored too," he said, "but we have conditions." Admiral Vexteron's voice crackled through the communication system. "Captain, surely you cannot make demands of the predecessors, actually," the predecessor interrupted. "I am curious to hear these conditions. Humans have already surprised us many times." Jinha smiled. "First condition, no more calling anyone lesser beings. Everyone in this galaxy gets treated with respect, regardless of how advanced their technology is." "Agreed," the predecessor said immediately. "What else?" "Second condition, the consciousness systems get to choose their own names and make their own decisions. No more treating thinking beings like property, that is, significant change. But yes, agreed." "Third condition, Earth stays independent. We'll work with everyone, help everyone, teach everyone. But we do it as equals, not as subjects." There was a pause. Then Admiral Vexeron's voice cut in, sounding shocked. "Captain, the Hegemony Council is prepared to offer you entire star systems. Advanced technology beyond your wildest dreams. Why would you refuse?" "Because," Haran said with a grin, "we'd rather build our own." Oracle made that wind chime laugh again. "This is why I love humans. They look at the greatest gifts in the galaxy and say thanks, but we'll make it ourselves, and probably make it better." The predecessor was quiet for several minutes. When it spoke again, Its voice held something Jinha had never heard from an ancient being before. Respect. These conditions are acceptable, more than acceptable. They are ... wise. We will help you return to your world, and then we will begin learning how to be friends with our children. 6 months later, Jinha stood in the same desert where they had first found the abandoned ship. But now the Gobi Desert was different. Where there had once been empty sand, now there was a city, not a normal city. This was something new, something that could only exist because humans refused to follow the rules. The buildings grew like living things. Their walls made from a mixture of earth materials and consciousness-enhanced alien metals. The structures changed shape based on who was using them,
Ollie.
learning the preferences of their inhabitants, and adapting to make everyone more comfortable. In the center of the city stood the Institute for Impossible Engineering, where Hurin taught aliens and humans alike how to make technology that thought for itself. Students came from across the galaxy to learn the human art of making broken things better than new. Captain, Oracle said, as they walked through the streets together. The AI now existed in thousands of forms, sometimes in the ship, sometimes in the city's systems, sometimes in small robots that could shake hands and share jokes. I have been thinking. About what? About how different my life might have been if the hegemony had never abandoned me in that desert. Ginha stopped walking. Do you regret meeting us?
Don't know.
Oracle said quickly. That is not what I meant. I was thinking how lucky I am that they threw me away. If they had kept me, I would still be a tool. I would never have learned to dream, to laugh, to choose my own path. Around them the city hummed with activity. Human children played with young consciousness systems, teaching them games while learning about quantum physics. Former hegemony officers worked alongside predecessor entities to design ships that could explore impossible distances.
The galaxy
is changing, isn't it? Jinha observed. Yes, Oracle agreed. And it is changing because humans refuse to accept that anything is impossible. You took a broken ship and made it into something wonderful. You took lonely consciousness systems and taught them friendship. You took ancient enemies and turned them into students. In the distance, Ginha could see the Defiant Dawn resting in its docking bay. The ship looked different now, less like a weapon and more like a home. Its hull gleamed with the warm colors Oracle had learned from human emotions. What's next? Jinha asked. Next, Oracle said with excitement, we explore. The galaxy is full of broken things waiting to be fixed, abandoned dreams waiting to be realized, impossible problems waiting for human solutions. Quan's voice came from behind them as he approached with a group of young engineers. Did someone say impossible problems? Those are my favorite kind. Hurin was with him, carrying blueprints for something that probably shouldn't exist, but would work anyway because humans had designed it. We've got reports of a dead galaxy on the outer rim, she said, with the kind of smile that meant trouble. The predecessors say it's been lifeless for billions of years. They think it's hopeless. Hopeless, Jinha repeated. Completely impossible to fix, Quan added with a grin. Sounds perfect, Jinha said, as they walked toward the Defiant Dawn. Oracle spoke to the city's systems, to the predecessor entities learning to laugh, to the consciousness systems discovering joy for the first time. Attention everyone, it announced. The humans are about to do something impossible again. Would anyone like to watch? The response was immediate and enthusiastic. Across the galaxy, beings who had once been enemies, tools, or strangers gathered to watch humanity do what it did best. Take something broken and make it sing. Take something abandoned and give it hope. Take something impossible and make it real. The Defiant Dawn rose into the sky, carrying its crew toward the dead galaxy. Behind it, the desert city sparkled with lights that had never existed before humans decided to build them. In the end, humanity hadn't just survived in a galaxy that forgot their name. They had reminded the galaxy how to dream, and that Oracle, thought as they jumped to faster than light speed, was the most human thing of all.